What's up, everybody? LF here. Things to do every single day and week. Things that if you don't do, you will fall behind by a day or a week permanently if you don't do it versus people that do. So let's start off with the very basics here. Top right, dimensional contract tokens. You get 900 of these a day, up to a cap of 4,500. Every time you do a dungeon, you spend 300 of these. So that means you have up to 5 days that you could potentially skip, and then you're gonna have to start doing them, otherwise you miss out on them. And then the next one is the abyssal contract tokens. You need these in order to get all the loot and all the good stuff from the abyssal dungeons. Basically abyssal dungeons are Silius Abyss, the Siliveth dungeon, Temple of Siliveth, the Ant Nest, the Sanctum of Desire, and you also have your Shadowed Crypt as well. So Abyss dungeons are basically your open world dungeons. At nighttime, they do turn into PvP dungeons. I do recommend that you take at least a full party going into them, so that way you are farming these as efficiently as possible and as safely as possible. And then the next one after this one is contracts. So contracts, you get about 10 of these a day. At the very first day, you'll have an abundance of these. You're going to be doing them for quite a bit. And contracts are basically part of your dailies. Every single reset, by default, you get 10 of these, and you can take up to 5 at a time. So the end game contracts, I do advise not to do any contracts if they keep the current leveling speed. You should be doing them at Watcher's Post at level 49 and 50, and at Pure Light Tower at 49 and 50 as well, because these are your end game spots, right? So the thing about this cap is, since it is up to 60, that is technically 6 days. Maybe do it in the weekend if you're too busy on the weekdays, but a good secret to know about this one is that if you can't do it within the 6 days, at the very least, once you reach 60 contracts, if you do just one, so it's not fully capped at 60, let's say it's at 59 or 58 or 57, once the reset happens, it'll actually bring you over the 60 limit. So if you had 59, it'll get you to 69, whereas if you had it at 60 and it was at reset, it won't bring you over. Right? So that's the thing about the contracts. And branching off of the contracts are the contract merchants. So when you do contracts, you get contract coins. You want to get these daily. Mystic keys, 5 every day. You want to get the rare parchments as well, as much as you can every single day. And the weekly ones, which are the rune hammers, are very important because this is part of your endgame loop. You're going to need a lot of these hammers. This is the grind fiesta that's going on in the late game right now with the challenge dungeons. And then after the rune hammer are the trait extraction stones. If you want to sell stuff in the market, you don't have to buy them all at the same time, but if you want to sell stuff like on your main or especially on your alts that you're using the grind, you want to get the trait extraction stones because it's one way for you to sell these traits that you can get from these dungeons, right? And get yourself that sweet Lucent. And after the contract merchant is the Sundries merchant. So very important detail about the Sundries merchant is that certain ones have their own cooldown. So one of the things that you want to buy are these contract scrolls, because these are essentially free contracts that don't take up your contract counts when it comes to your dailies. So just to have an example here, let me open up one of the contracts that I accepted, which is this one right here. So this is one of them right here. And you can see one of the rewards here is your Abyss currency. Abyss currency being a crafting material for certain T1, Tier 2 equipment, right? So that's one of the things that you can do with it. And it will also give you ores that you will use, or sometimes parchments that you can use for crafting and your growth stones and your skill books, right? This one, obviously, this is RNG. This is like a nice thing to have if you get something nice out of it. And it also gives you contract coins, activity points, which if you are doing that activity push with your guild, it counts for a lot. And then the Solent actually adds up as well. So you can kind of get like some Solent back based on like what you spent there. So it ends up costing you almost nothing, right? And then the next important one are the ingredients that have a daily cap. So for this one right here in Vienta Village are the eggs, right? So the eggs. The reason why you want to buy these things is because of cooking. You want to level your cooking as soon as you can. Because, for example, this one right here, honey, just like the eggs, they are limited as well. And then the eggs here, obviously you'll need eggs. they're limited as well. And then the golden rye are also limited as well. So you want to buy these every single day, and then you want to start leveling your food buffs, because if you look into the auction house, eventually you'll start crafting, you'll start cooking these food buffs, and when you get great success on them, you will have food buffs that are sellable. So the main detail that I want to tell you about these Sundries merchants is that certain merchants have their own cooldown, have their own daily limits. So for example, Vienta Village has eggs, right? One detail that you should pay attention to is that the Sundries merchant in your guild house, which is going to be in Vienta Village, unless you own the castle, then it will be in Stoneguard Castle, is if you go into your guild house with a sick entrance, and then as soon as we're able to move, I'm gonna go over there and move now. There we go. Okay, so you can see Sundries merchant, our net. Go ahead and talk to our net here, and these things right here will have their own cooldown, right? So they'll have their own cooldown, and you want to get those dailies in there as well. And then after that, we're gonna go to Stoneguard. Moving over to Stoneguard Castle, there will be another Sundries merchant over here as well. So as soon as you get to Stoneguard, you're gonna turn left here a little bit. If you're looking at the mini map, it's gonna be a right turn. All right, and he should pop out here soon. There you go, Brandon. He's gonna have his own daily limit as well, and then the scrolls in there as well. Then another one, stuff that's not in Vienta Village, stuff that's not in Stoneguard, stuff that is not in your guild house, is going to be stuff that's present in Castleton, Pure Light, Canna Village on the top right here, or Canina Village, and then Watcher's Post. So just for example, let's go to Watcher's Post. It's one of the endgame zones that we're going to go to. And here we go. Heading over to the Sundries merchant over here. Talk to the Sundries merchant. And then you can see you have your own scrolls here. These eggs will have a shared one with the Vienta Village one. But all the way down here, you can see Golden Rye, daily limit of 10. And then Honey, daily limit of 5. So these things that you can just pretty much buy off of the shop and have very, very easy access to leveling your cooking is something that you need to do every day. Otherwise, you don't want to be grinding materials for cooking, right? There's certain materials that you can grind from low-level mobs. Who wants to grind low-level mobs unless you're doing guild contracts, right? Or guild quests, rather. So that's it for the Sundries merchant. The next one, which is actually all the way back in Vienta Village. All right, so as soon as we get to Vienta Village here, we're going to go ahead and turn right here to the guild merchant. So guild merchant, one of these things that you want to buy these every single day because you want to stack them. They're going to be useful for PvP. Mana regen potions as well, and also the quality recovery crystal, which is the basic potion. You want to stack these as much as you can. That way you will have a lot for endgame. For later on in the game. And then the Queen's Venom Neutralizer, this is used for their Archboss Bellendir. So you don't actually need to buy these every single day. You could buy them on the day that there is a Queen Bellendir spawn, and you should be completely fine. And then eventually you'll have all these extra materials that you can get, and you can actually get these from contracts as well. So it's not like you're falling behind super far if you don't get them. And then these trait conversion stones over here, these are nice to get, especially if you have a piece of gear that you initially got that you want to use or you are using, but you don't like the trait that's in it. You can go ahead and replace that. And so just to give you an example of how trait conversion works, so let's say very, very hypothetically that I don't like the max health. Right, I want to convert it into something else. I could click that, I could click trait conversion, and I could use this, and I could replace it with a health regen. Obviously, I wouldn't want to do that right now, but if, let's say, it was vice versa, then that's basically how you do it. And you might be curious as to what these are here. Besides the extraction stones, these trait conversion stones, and these trait unlock stones, we'll tackle that in a trait-related video down the line. This is going to be very, very, very crucial, and it is actually one of the reasons why you want to get these trait conversion stones, because they count for very, very important part of the training in the game. And I'm guessing that's going to be tomorrow's video. We're going to go ahead and discuss traits tomorrow. But in the meantime, the next part of this that I want to discuss with you is, because they kind of count as a weekly, your secret dungeons and into Gate of Infinity. So you can see the date span here. They are usually within a week. and you want to do these every single time that you can, every single week, is because these have certain rewards. So achievement rewards, if you manage to complete all 3-star, is you get these precious omnipotence parchments. So what these are basically parchments that you use to level up the skills on the far right side of your skill set. So Blitz here for me, and then Flash Arrow, for example, I would need those. And then Immortal Pride and a Shot at Victory, I'll need those to craft the skill books that will upgrade these things. And you will absolutely need them, yes. If you miss out on these, it will set you back quite a bit. So just make sure that you do those every single week, okay? And besides the achievement rewards, you also have rank rewards. So the good thing about these rank rewards is they're separated by weapon combination. So every single combination now has their own rankings. Before, it was basically dominated by crossbow dagger users or any crossbow users. But now, since every combination has their own ranking, you have a better shot. And you can see in the rankings, Solent, a lot of it, and then these tokens basically that you use to spend in order to get the death debuff or death counters that you have from the resurrection NPC. And then when you rank from 1 to 20, you get a free emote. Right, so it's really good. If you go into this next one here, it even has its own rewards as well and its own emotes. And let's say that you have a duplicate copy of these emotes, you could always sell them for Solent, because later in the game, the Solent sink in the end game is pretty huge. So you're gonna want to stack as much Solent as you can in any source that you can get it from. Right, so that's the thing with secret dungeons. And then the other thing that you have to do every day, or every hour actually, if you can, is donate resources to your guild. Sometimes you'll be donating Solent because it's the easiest one, but sometimes you'll see a flag on the side of these materials over here, which means that your leaders or your guild advisors are advising you to donate a specific one, which you will probably need when it comes to GVGs or certain events. So just make sure you pay attention to that. Just a quick tip on this one. This is actually pretty easy even if you don't have it, because if you don't have the gray ones, what you can do is you can dissolve, right? You can dissolve the green one for 5 of these, right? So let's say I change that to 1. You can see it gives you 5 gray. And if that's not enough, you can actually dissolve a blue one. So let's say I remove this one right here, and a blue one, I'll put 1 in there. It's 5 green. So basically 1 blue is 5 greens, which is 5 times 5 equals that amount in gray. And then the purple ones are even bigger, because then it gives you 5 blue, which will give you 5 times 5 of that to green, and then 2 gray, right? So it's very easy, and it helps your guild a lot. It helps you a lot because then you'll have guild tokens that will be given to you here, these guild coins that you can spend on the guild shop, right? So if you want to get that advantage, make sure that you contribute to your guild. It helps you, it helps your guild, it helps everybody. And then after donating Solent and materials to the guild throughout the day is your events. So when you press M, you get to the timetable here. It'll show you hourly. These events, you want to do them because they give you runes. These are one of the sources that you can get runes. Sometimes you'll get these little extra rewards for these Amitois, which is huge, by the way. We'll discuss that afterwards. So it will also give you runes. It will give you free food buffs, which is also really good. And not only that, it also gives you activity, which you do need, especially if you're chasing activity rankings for you or your guild, if you're trying to get the first castle. And it also gives you Solent again, which you will need a ton of. You will need millions upon millions in the end game. Trust me, you're going to need it. And besides the events, if you scroll down a little bit here, you'll see these red ones right here. These are world bosses. In every time slot, you want to do at least one of these bosses, because if you do at least one, and it's a one-time reward, so that's why you only need to do one, you'll get these conquest rewards. You will also get more runes, and you'll also get, most importantly, these conquest participation rewards. So you'll get your potions here, you'll get your mana potions here, you'll get this one right here, which is used as a crafting material for T1 purples that you can craft for yourself or for traits to sell, right? And then the skill books, pretty self-explanatory. You'll need skill books all the way, restoration coins, which you'll need to, get rid of the death debuff, and most importantly, the Stellarite bundles. Stellarite bundles are basically a plus 10% damage to your weapons. You just have to make sure that you equip them on every weapon. So you can see right now, weapon damage plus 10%. You want to switch weapon, because you need to equip them on every single weapon, so you have to equip that there. If you equip it only on one weapon, it's only going to apply to that weapon, right? So that's one thing that you have to pay attention to as much as you can. No pressure, try to do it as much as you can, but just make sure that you're not falling too far behind on that, even if you have to check every once in a while and you just have to do the event or tap the boss a few times and then just like AFK or something like that. If you AFK and you die at the boss, just make sure that you don't respawn. That way, if your tombstone is still there and the boss dies, you will get the credit for it, right? Especially if you're going to a PvP boss event. And then the other thing as well that I want to bring up here is the Amitoi. So Amitoi Adventure. So in terms of Amitoi Adventure, you can see here at the bottom here, you can just go ahead and click this if you want. It's going to take you to your Amitoi's house. So once you're at your Amitoi's house, and you want to do this as much as you can as well, there's certain amount of hours that you can do it. If you're going to do it very actively, you can do per hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. If you're busy, you can have up to 8 hours. And you're going to level this every single day so you have more choices, right? And eventually you start to get these higher level ones and you'll have better loot. Again, you could use this every 8 hours and you can use these to donate to your guild, right? And the other thing too is this right here, the Abyssal Contract token points. If you get this from basically what is something that is AFK, it means you'll get to grind on those Abyss dungeons for the big tier 2 loot eventually that you'll need, or the early T1 loot that you can get early on, right? But the most important thing about this, and the reason why you want to stick with this, and the reason why you want to do the exploration quests that give you Amitoi as well, is because of this right here. So what is this? The Shattered Temple Expedition Pouch, or if you do the other ones, so low level ones, it'll give you the appropriate name, Expedition Pouch, right? And you'll get really, really good materials from this. All of this, by the way, you will use. So this is always, always, always useful. So 100% chance to get either one of these. This is good. Everything here is good. And you also have certain chances to get, you know, a small chance, but there's a chance, right? And if you have these already, well, guess what? You could sell it to the NPC for a couple 100k. And then the other one is, even though it has a very, very low chance, is the Tevint's Soul Fragment. So this is Tevint, just so you know, is an Archboss. So when you get enough of these, you can eventually craft the Tevint Soul, right? So you can eventually get 60 days to craft the Tevint Soul. And what is the Tevint Soul used for? It is used to craft Archboss weapons. Yeah, that's right. So eventually, in due time, even if you don't even participate in any of those quests or any of those Archboss events, which you probably should still, you at least through the longevity of your playtime or your game time, you can get this all the way through, right? So it's really, really, really good because it has its own drop chance. You're guaranteed to always drop these. You have a chance to drop these or this especially, but it's never going to conflict with your regular drop. So that's the good thing about it, right? So you're not competing with all of these. Like, you're basically just competing with this pure chance that you get it, right? So it's not RNG within RNG, essentially. Through exploration codexes, let me show you an example here. Let's say the Urstella Fields. You can get Amitoi, right? There's other ones in here as well. Like, let's say, for example, let's say Moonlight Desert. You'll get Amitoi, right? And the crazy part is, but essentially one of the reasons why I told you guys to get the Mystic Keys is because they also give a chance once you get the Mystic Globes, and you'll know what these are because they'll force you to do one of these quests. They also have a chance to drop certain Amitoi. Just in case you're wondering, it's like, oh, are they giving it for free because Tevin Archboss weapons are like the weakest out of all the Archboss weapons, for example? It was like, the answer is no. It actually is one of the strongest ones. Like, if you ask anybody who has Tevin's bow or Tevin's greatsword, they will tell you how broken these things are and how good they are. And you have a chance to get the materials for these as long as you do them every single day. So hopefully that helps out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.